Kia ora everyone, I'm here in New Plymouth and I'm not sure I've necessarily got a great connection, but I'm going to try my best to give you a very quick summary of the announcements that we made at about 1 o'clock today, and they really centered around our preparedness and the work that we're doing to prepare for Omicron. Look, just quickly to reflect on the fact that Omicron, you could say in many ways, is late to New Zealand, and that's been by design. You know, we've done work to ensure that our border is helping us with a little more time so that we can continue to prepare the best we can. And that means, of course, government preparing, but also we're asking everyone to prepare themselves as well. So I'll run quickly through some of the things that we're doing as government. Today, we announced the decisions that we've made around the COVID protection framework. You'll know at the moment that New Zealand is at orange with the exception of the Northland region, which is sitting in red. Today, we made the announcement that Northland would join the rest of the country at red. We'd always set down that this would be the week that we would do a review, and one of the key factors we were looking for was vaccination rates, and over the summer period, we've really seen those increased in Northland. So that we've got in the high 80% range now double dose vaccines in the area, which is fantastic to see. So Northland, as of 11:59 p.m. tonight, will move into orange. But we've also made the decision that the rest of the country will stay in orange. And we've done that for a really deliberate reason. We know Omicron is banging at our door. We've had several cases now amongst those who are connected to our managed isolation facilities, workers, and now someone who has recently exited and produced 5 negative tests. So whilst we continue to catch those cases, we do know that it's a matter of when, not if, we'll see Omicron in our community. And the best thing we can do is have preventative measures that are already in place. We all know from experience, and unfortunately, at the time that we find the new variant, as was the case in August of last year, sometimes it's already been in the community for a number of days. And because Omicron, we know, is moves much more quickly, we need to make sure that we're prepared and we already have measures in place even before we identify it. So that's why we're going to stay on that prepared footing by all remaining in orange. We've also announced that the moment that we do find Omicron in the community, we are going to change our settings within a 24 to 48 hour period. So we're not talking about cases we find at the border, because those are ones we're still contact tracing and so on. What we'll do is, this is for in the situation where we find a case that's in the community, not one that we've picked up through our border testing and so on. So once that happens, we'll immediately, within that 24 to 48 hour period, move the country into red. And that's again so that we can try and slow Omicron down. Just a little reminder around what red looks like. Red does not mean lockdowns, and Aucklanders will remember that. Northland's just been in red, so we all know that it does not mean lockdowns. It means mask use, it means social distancing, and it does mean some variation in the way that hospitality work. It also means reducing gathering sizes. Red has a limit on gatherings at 100. So all of those are measures to help try and slow Omicron down, because what we've seen in other countries is within a window of about 14 to 19 days, you do see it move quite quickly. You see cases move from in their hundreds to their thousands. The other thing that we've set out that we're doing right now as we speak, and we'll keep talking about this, is making sure that our system and our settings are fit for purpose for Omicron. So yes, it's more transmissible, but it's actually also not demonstrated for most people. Their experience a less severe illness, they're actually most likely to be able to care for themselves in their home, but some won't. Some will become unwell, will need medical care, and may even require hospitalisation. So we need a system that helps us identify those who need that extra support and make sure that we're providing it. So when it comes to our case management, next week we'll be sharing more details on how we'll adjust our case management system to make sure it's fit for purpose for Omicron. We'll also speak a bit more about the business continuity work we're doing and how our testing regime will change up to deal with Omicron too. At the moment, we use PCR testing, but when we have higher rates of cases, we will use rapid antigen testing much, much more. So that's just a little bit of an overview of some of the changes we've made and some of the changes that we will be making over the coming weeks in preparation. I do have an ask of all of you. There are things that we can do to help one another as well. We're certainly doing our bit, but the question that I'd really ask is that everyone who's due for their booster gets their booster. And that's because we know the data and evidence tells us that for Omicron, it's the booster that's making a difference in reducing the severity of illness and the likelihood of hospitalization. So please, if you got your second dose 4 months or more ago, you can walk in, you can make a booking, go and grab it now. There's lots of capacity. 52% of people who are eligible have done so, but we really need everyone to do that. It'll make a really big difference. The second thing you can do is just make sure you're prepared. Should you need to isolate or should you have COVID in the future, make sure that you've got everything that you'll need at home to support yourself and your whānau. We're making sure that we've got the social services that we'll need for those who may need support while isolating, be it food or medical care. But many people, of course, will be able to do that preparation for themselves. If you're able to, please, we're asking that you think about that in advance too. So that's a bit of an update. We'll of course continue to provide these updates as we in the coming period, of course. But again, make sure that you are doing what you can to prepare as well. I see a couple of questions that are popping up. Someone's asking me about rapid antigen tests. Why are you delaying the provision of them? Simply, I'd say, Dharmesh, that we're not. Of course, at the moment, we're primarily dealing with Delta and we have very low case numbers, which is why we use PCR testing. COVID testing with rapid antigen is not as accurate. The accuracy rate, I'm advised is up around the 80% mark for rapid antigen. So in the environment we're at the moment, we're still using PCR because they're more accurate. And we have the capacity to do undertake about 40,000 PCR tests a day. Rapid antigen tests, we have 4.6 million in the country and tens of million more on order. So they will be a key part of our response in the future. Just getting a couple of questions around where we access rapid antigen testing at the moment, but I think probably many people are aware of the way they're working at the moment through pharmacies, but also our health providers are using them in some situations as well to ensure workforce are still able to safely work. Look, I've seen a couple of questions about managed isolation facilities, some asking us to close all people's access, others asking us to open up for everyone. I think probably what I would say on that, of course, is we've had hundreds of thousands of New Zealanders coming back into the country over the course of the pandemic, but we have used managed isolation to make sure that's done safely. There are limits to how many people can come in at once, though. So what we announced yesterday was simply that we do releases of vouchers, and because we've got more people with COVID, because we've had to expend the amount of time, we've had fewer vouchers to release. And so that was something that was talked about yesterday. But we have never stopped citizens from being able to come home and through our managed isolation facilities, and nor can we. It's the right of citizens to be able to return to their home country. So that is why we will not stop citizens from being able to return home, albeit through a mechanism at the moment that is designed to keep everyone, including them, safe. So hopefully that's covered off a little bit of everything. I see a few more questions coming through that I'll try and pick up in the next on the next time I chat with you all. Till then, I hope you're looking after yourselves. I hope that you've had an enjoyable and relaxing summer. Every New Zealander deserved to have a break over the summer period after such a tough 2021. So I hope that you had that. You had lots of time with friends and family. So look forward to catching up again soon. Ka kite.